I transmigrated into a novel and became a useless, weak husband. In a contractual marriage story, my wife Liu Ruyan placed a divorce agreement in front of me. Get a divorce, and I'll give you 100 million. Chibata is about to return. According to the original plot, I would feel reluctant and unwilling to leave Liu Ruyan. President Liu, I can sign the agreement, but you have to agree to one condition. Liu Ruyan sneered, her nightgown draped over her shoulders, clearly trying to seduce me. You want to sleep with me? You're not worthy. As she spoke, she threw her robe at my face and a sweet fragrance rushed toward me. I swear my male heart was pounding wildly at that moment. Liu Ruyan, we're in the same room and you still dare to tempt me like this? I forced myself to calm down, but I truly didn't dare to do anything rash. Although in those trashy novels, female CEOs are often portrayed as brainless and blindly in love, this is the real world. Even if this is a world inside a book, it is still real. If Liu Ruyan lets out a scream, people will immediately rush in. This is not some brainless novel. I threw the robe to the ground and stepped on it, as if humiliating that arrogant female CEO. Liu Ruyan curled her lips in disdain. Sign it! Don't waste my time. The cold, domineering CEO outside is actually so rude at home in front of me. I am her contract husband. I am also her dog. Would she care about the dignity of a dog? Fortunately, although Liu Ruyan is arrogant and overbearing, she has never done anything truly humiliating to me, like whipping me or forcing me to play the role of her white moonlight. She still retains basic decency. After 3 years of living together, she has become increasingly casual in ordering me to stay at home, doing things like washing her underwear, massaging her, and bathing her. But I could only look and never touch. 3 years have passed, and I still haven't become a eunuch. How tragic. Fortunately, I have transmigrated. I will not remain so weak. I picked up the pen. I had already memorized the contents of the agreement clearly. 100 million in cash, a villa, 2 cars, and 2 commercial properties. The original owner refused to sign because he loved Liu Ruyan, but I don't love her, and with such generous compensation, I would sign even if I had to die. I wrote the 3 characters Yifan and quickly pressed my fingerprint. Perfect. Liu Ruyan smiled faintly, and a trace of approval flashed through her eyes. Yifan, not bad. Go on, what is your condition? Aside from my body, Liu Ruyan is still a virgin. Her upbringing and character make her uphold her principles when it comes to love. And I will shatter her so-called love. The agreement is signed, the divorce is done. I no longer need to bow and please her. I took out my phone. I have a gift for you. Promise me you'll watch it to the end. Liu Ruyan was like an ancient emperor. When she gave her word, she kept it. She valued her promises greatly. She nodded. You have 10 minutes. I called Liu Ruyan's assistant. Assistant Du, President Liu has instructed you to send me the contact number of the cleaners. You have 1 minute. Liu Ruyan's expression turned serious. Well, what are you trying to do? The so-called cleaners were essentially dogs, raised by the wealthy to handle matters outside the law. If I dared to harm Liu Ruyan, I would end up torn to pieces by those dogs. I said nothing and quietly waited for the call. Soon, a number was sent to my phone. At the same time, Liu Ruyan's phone rang. It was Assistant Du. She answered and simply said she understood. The number belonged to someone in Haicheng. I called and turned on the speaker. The person on the other end seemed to recognize me. Young master, yeah. Please give your orders. I wasn't surprised. Nominally, I was still Liu Ruyan's husband. 10 million. I want all of Chibata's information overseas, especially about his black bodyguard. The person on the other end hesitated for a long time. Is President Liu there? Liu Ruyan spoke coldly. 20 million. Do as he says. I'll hang up in 10 minutes. Liu Ruyan sneered. From now on, you won't have the right to call this number again. Do you think I've never investigated Chibata? He studied diligently in the United States, obtained a master's degree from Columbia University, and is the most famous investor in Silicon Valley. Most importantly, for the past 3 years, he has remained as pure as jade, just like me. Hearing Liu Ruyan emphasize the words, pure as jade, I couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing, not to mention that I often bathed her and had already seen everything. Just talking about Chibata, was he really that pure? Others might not know, but how could I not? I'm someone who transmigrated into the story. 10 minutes passed quickly. Liu Ruyan, just wait for the second act. After saying that, I quickly ran into the bathroom and grabbed the basin she usually used for soaking her feet. You're using that to soak my feet? Why didn't you get water? I rolled my eyes. We're divorced now. Only a dog would serve you by washing your feet. I'm just afraid you might vomit later. Liu Ruyan clearly understood and let out a cold laugh. 100,000. Do it properly one last time. 10 minutes passed quickly. Liu Ruyan had finished soaking her feet, and the phone call came in as well. I was massaging her feet, unable to refuse. She had already thrown out 50,000. She would even accept it if I used my tongue. Honestly, this kind of life wasn't so bad. Unfortunately, Liu Ruyan wanted a divorce, and I didn't want to be cheated on either. A voice came from the phone. Young Master Ye, what a coincidence. You really are amazing. Oh, do you want a video or a live stream? Of course I wanted the latter, but I didn't want to spend more money. Liu Ruyan had plenty of money. She spent it like loose change. Add another 10 million. The person on the other end immediately became respectful. I'll send the link to you, young Master Ye. Soon, someone added me on WeChat. After I accepted, the video call connected. With just one glance, I already felt like vomiting. Liu Ruyan wanted to see, and I instinctively pulled the phone away. Damn it, it turns out my body still loved her. No, Liu Ruyan, this live video is disgusting. You'll be traumatized for life if you watch it. Move aside. Liu Ruyan, annoyed by my hesitation, snatched the phone. The moment she saw the live footage, she froze. It was still daytime in the United States. In a dim room on a large bed, there was a white man and a black man. The angle was strange. The footage seemed secretly recorded, as if the camera had been slipped through a window behind a pane of glass. The video was slightly blurry, but anyone familiar with that fair-skinned body would recognize it. Liu Ruyan, of course, could not fail to recognize her so-called white moonlight. She recognized him immediately, yet she tightened her grip on the phone. I could even hear the creaking sound as if it might shatter at any moment. But why was she still watching, staring without looking away? Could it be that she actually liked this kind of thing? My God, she was far more twisted than I thought. Instinctively, I wanted to flee Haicheng, but before leaving, I had to throw in a few sarcastic remarks to salvage some dignity. Ha, Liu Ruyan, this is your love. This is the pure as jade love you were talking about. Ha, you only investigated the women around him. Why didn't you investigate the men? Liu Ruyan, your white moonlight may not have a girlfriend, but he does have a black boyfriend. Surprised? Exciting, isn't it? Unfortunately, no matter how I mocked her for 3 whole minutes, she showed no reaction at all, remaining frozen in the same posture. It wasn't until Liu Ruyan seemed to have lost her soul and then slowly came back to herself that she finally spoke, her voice hoarse as if it had been run over by a truck. No, Yifan, help me. Only then did I realize that she had been frightened senseless, so terrified that she couldn't even control her own body. I wanted to laugh, but didn't dare. I had to use force to pry her hands off the phone. Her nerves and muscles had stiffened from the shock. After some effort, I finally took the phone, ended the live stream, casually saved a segment of the video, and uploaded it to a cloud account, sending it to a secondary account to erase any traces. In the end, I helped Liu Ruyan onto the bed and continued massaging her body. This was probably the last time in my life I would be able to touch such a soft, fragrant body. What a pity. The live stream just now had likely caused Liu Ruyan immense psychological damage. It was very possible she would become like a demon, indifferent to both men and women, or spend her life in ascetic purity, accompanied only by the green lamp and Buddhist scriptures. But I did not regret it. Liu Ruyan had mocked my love, so I destroyed hers. Yes, now we were even. As soon as Liu Ruyan's body recovered a little, she suddenly sat up and vomited. Perfect aim, right onto me. I didn't have time to react and was completely covered from head to toe. Damn it, Liu Ruyan. I stared at the woman in front of me, stunned. Was she crying? She was Liu Ruyan, arrogant, cold, a young female CEO who controlled the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of people. And she was crying? I said nothing and quietly began cleaning up, turning on hot water, removing her clothes and carrying her into the bathtub. While she soaked, I stood under the shower in front of her and washed myself. This was the first time I had been naked in front of her. I thought that if Liu Ruyan saw a man's body, she would start vomiting again. But instead, she seemed petrified, but her eyes empty as she stared at me, watching me shower, evaluating my body. After I finished bathing, I put on a new robe, busied myself cleaning the room, and then bathed Liu Ruyan. This routine was very familiar to me. Female CEOs often had to socialize at drinking parties. When they returned home, they would vomit and even lose control of their bladder. I had witnessed her most miserable moments many times and had grown used to it. In that regard, I was a little stronger than those contract husbands who hadn't even touched their wives in 3 years. But to be honest, even if she was a goddess, what she vomited was still foul, filthy, and disgusting. Tell me, in a situation like this, who would still have the mind for anything improper? After cleaning Liu Ruyan, she vomited 3 more times, even bile coming out. She was probably thinking about Chibata again. By the time I finished cleaning, she had fallen asleep. I carried her to her second bedroom and looked at her for a long time, one last time. Perhaps this would be the last time we ever saw each other. Without saying anything, without a farewell, I left her room like a passing breeze. I pulled along 2 suitcases filled with the assets I had accumulated over 3 years, gifts from Liu Ruyan, high-end suits, watches, cufflinks, leather shoes, and so on. As for the money and real estate, Liu Ruyan would not go back on her word. Assistant Du would definitely contact me tomorrow. The small apartment, 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, was about 20 kilometers away from Liu Ruyan's villa. It was bought with the money I had saved over 3 years. Liu Ruyan knew about it. But I also knew that with her arrogant personality, she would never come looking for me there. Logically, I should take the money and run far away, but after thinking it through, carrying that much money to a strange city felt like walking into a trap. It was better to stay in Haicheng, relying on Liu Ruyan's remaining influence to live cautiously for now. In a few years, when the Liu Corporation collapses, it won't be too late to leave. I had a good night's sleep, and when I opened my eyes, it was already 10 o'clock the next morning. Life without having to serve Liu Ruyan felt incredibly comfortable. When I turned on my phone, there were dozens of missed calls and messages, all from Bai Ningbing, Liu Ruyan's best friend. As for Liu Ruyan, she hadn't called even once. As expected, she was truly heartless. Those trashy novels about cold female CEOs regretting and chasing after their husbands were all fake. Someone as arrogant as Liu Ruyan would rather die than lower her head. And I wouldn't lower mine either. So I simply turned off my phone again, planning to wait until 30 days later to go straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau and collect the divorce certificate. But trouble refused to stay away. Bai Ningbing showed up at my door. "You fan! You useless piece of trash! What did you do to Liu Ruyan?" Seeing her, I sighed. The person I feared the most before wasn't Liu Ruyan, but Bai Ningbing standing in front of me. Don't be fooled by her petite and pretty appearance. She was wild and fierce, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex from Sichuan or Chongqing. If anyone else called me useless, I would definitely be angry. But when she said it, I could only accept it. A year after the marriage, Bai Ningbing had deliberately gotten Liu Ruyan drunk and thrown her onto my bed. I only dared to hold that beauty and sleep for one night. Truly, I only held her. Nothing else. From then on, Bai Ningbing concluded that I was useless and no longer bothered trying to matchmake me and Liu Ruyan. "Yeah, Fan, what exactly did you do to Liu Ruyan? Why did she vomit when she heard Chibata's voice on the phone? She vomits at the mention of Chibata's name, but when she hears your name, she doesn't vomit. She just wants to bite you to death. Why?" 3 questions in a row, and I didn't know how to answer. Bai Ningbing was undoubtedly one of the best friends I had ever seen. She genuinely cared about Liu Ruyan. None of those so-called best friends in short dramas could compare to her. Later, or when Liu Ruyan went bankrupt, it was Bai Ningbing who supported her in rebuilding her career. They were the kind of friends who could stay by each other's side for a lifetime. But if I showed her the video and told her the truth, would Bai Ningbing start to hate Liu Ruyan? Would she feel tainted herself? Honestly, that scene with Chibata was unbearably disgusting. "Speak! If you don't, I'm going to make a move." Seeing Bai Ningbing about to make a move, I quickly raised my hands to block with all my strength. Ha ha, how ridiculous. Her punches, soft like steamed buns, still came raining down like hailstones, slightly painful. 5 minutes later, Bai Ningbing was panting heavily and casually tossed me a card. 100,000. 9 more times left. 1 beating costs 10,000. Now talk. What exactly did you do? Oh, did you pour fish sauce into her mouth or do something even dirtier? I thought for a moment and decided to be honest. I didn't want to get entangled with these rich people anymore. Bai Ningbing, last night I showed Liu Ruyan a live stream about Chibata. After that, she kept vomiting. As I spoke, I noticed 2 small dolls in the display cabinet. I took them out and used them to reenact that classic posture for Bai Ningbing. 1 white, 1 black. You get it, right? Everyone knows women have vivid imaginations. Once they start imagining, it becomes terrifying. The scenes they conjure up in their minds can be even more disgusting than reality. Anyway, I don't know what Bai Ningbing imagined, but I only saw her cover her mouth and rush into the bathroom, vomiting for a long time. Another victim added. Why, I was then dragged by Bai Ningbing to the hospital. Liu Ruyan was a person who valued purity. She had an almost obsessive cleanliness of the soul. Chibata knew this, so on the surface, he never dared to act recklessly abroad, rejecting all advances from women. Because of that, Liu Ruyan believed her white moonlight had remained pure for her. Who would have thought that although he had no girlfriend, he had a black bodyguard instead? That live stream from last night had become Liu Ruyan's lifelong nightmare. Just thinking about it made her vomit. As a result, she couldn't eat. Anything she ate would come right back up. She even developed a fever and had to be hospitalized. As soon as I entered the hospital room, I saw Liu Ruyan looking like a shattered doll. I felt a pang of heartache, but immediately hardened myself and let out a cold laugh. What could possibly make you this miserable? Tell me so I can enjoy it a little. Liu Ruyan didn't even bother responding to me. Perhaps she didn't have the strength to argue. Bai Ningbing, standing behind me, was clearly displeased. She reached out, grabbed my ear, and twisted it hard. I told you to come comfort Liu Ruyan, and you still dare to mock her? Give me my money back. I laughed awkwardly. If you want the money back, you might as well take my life. She's mentally unwell right now. What am I supposed to do? Should I go bring Chibata here? The moment Liu Ruyan heard the name Chibata, she reflexively vomited again. She hadn't eaten anything all day, so only a bit of clear liquid came out. Yifan, leave. And remember, never mention those 2 words in front of me again. If you do, I'll hand you over to the cleaners. I felt deeply wronged. What had I even done? I had already warned her before she watched the live stream. Did it really have to come to the point of destroying me? Bai Ningbing sighed beside us. Liu Ruyan hasn't eaten all day. There's a small kitchen in the VIP ward. Make her something she likes. This hospital room was a high-end VIP suite owned by the Liu family, equipped no worse than a presidential apartment. I called the housekeeper, and 10 minutes later the ingredients were delivered. I made crab porridge, adding fish roe to mask the smell. I boiled the roe and carefully peeled off the outer membrane by hand. Bai Ningbing stood nearby, watching and sighing. Liu Ruyan clearly knows you treat her well, but she doesn't cherish it. She's too arrogant. Even if she regrets it, she won't lower her head. Without me, you two would have fallen apart long ago. Don't worry, I'll help you. But honestly, I was no longer so eager to be with Liu Ruyan. The gap in our status was just too great. It made me feel inferior and overly sensitive. I had no sense of security in this marriage. Today it was her white moonlight. Tomorrow could it be a male assistant? And after that, would it be some brainless junior like in those short dramas? The so-called four-piece set of a domineering female CEO, her white moonlight, a male assistant, a younger junior, a sworn younger brother, and a useless husband. Liu Ruyan already had the first one, and I was not useless. At the very least, I wouldn't let myself be cuckolded. Once it was done, I waited for the porridge to cool slightly before personally bringing it to Liu Ruyan. The woman's expression was still numb and lifeless, but when she smelled the crab porridge, she finally seemed to come back to her senses. "Thank you." Then, as if by habit, she opened her mouth, waiting for me to feed her. As expected, rich people were all masters. I couldn't be bothered to argue with a patient, so I fed her spoonful by spoonful. After finishing 2 large bowls, Liu Ruyan finally began to recover. "I'll take my leave. At 10:30 a.m. in 30 days, I'll be waiting for you at the Civil Affairs Bureau." "Oh, right, Liu Ruyan. A storm is coming. Has the Liu Corporation made preparations?" The secret buried for 5 years at Qinglin Plot Number 2. Can it really be kept hidden? After saying that, I didn't wait for their reaction. I pushed the door open and left, decisively. I was already familiar with how the plot would unfold. At first, I hadn't planned to interfere with Liu Ruyan's bankruptcy, but now she and I were still tied together. The divorce certificate hadn't been obtained yet, the 100 million settlement hadn't been transferred, and the real estate was still pending. According to the original storyline, Qi Bada would return to Haicheng tonight. The day after tomorrow, he would begin targeting me. The Qi family was also a wealthy clan in Haicheng, so I still needed Liu Ruyan's protection. After I left, my words left Liu Ruyan deeply shaken. The secret of that plot of land was known only to a few high-level executives within the Liu Corporation. How did Ye Fan know about it? What did he mean? Could it be that someone intended to use this secret to destroy the Liu Corporation? Liu Ruyan gradually calmed down. To bring down the Liu Corporation, relying on just this one secret would not be enough. After so many years of development, the Liu Corporation inevitably had its share of shady dealings. Both her father and she herself had tried to correct them during their tenure, but once mistakes were made, even if corrected, traces would remain, and they wouldn't withstand investigation. "Ningbing, I need to be discharged." Ye Fan was right. The storm was coming. Bai Ningbing didn't know about the secret of Qinglin Plot Number 2 that Ye Fan mentioned, nor did she ask. But seeing Liu Ruyan so eager to leave the hospital, she understood that someone was targeting the Liu Corporation. The easiest way to destroy a fortress was, of course, to attack it from within. Liu Ruyan was naturally the most suitable target. Over the years, many men had approached Liu Ruyan in various ways. They both openly and secretly. But what they didn't know was that the wealthy had their own ways of dealing with such schemes, especially those old, cliché tricks of saving a life to win favor. The wealthy were most wary of that. If you dared to play such games, they would investigate 18 generations of your ancestors. Perhaps only the rich people in short dramas would believe in repaying life-saving kindness with one's body. Bai Ningbing wanted to say that Qi Bada's return was too coincidental, but remembering that Liu Ruyan couldn't even hear that name, she held back. "Ruyan, I think you should bring Ye Fan back. Just from what he said earlier and what happened last night, he's definitely not useless. He truly loves you." A trace of warmth flickered in Liu Ruyan's cold eyes, though her tone remained indifferent. I know he's capable, but I can't bring him back, or rather not for now. As long as he stays outside and away from the Liu family, he'll be safer. Bai Ningbing suddenly realized, so the divorce was intentional. Liu Ruyan was momentarily stunned. That reason wasn't bad, but she disdained lying. That's only half the reason. The other half is me. In the past, there really was someone else in my heart. But thinking about it now, it was just nostalgia for my youth. The saying that smart people don't lose themselves in love is true. What you can't have is what you long for forever, yet you end up overlooking the one who loves you most by your side. If Ye Fan wants to leave, then let him go. Bai Ningbing stomped her foot helplessly, just as expected of Liu Ruyan, arrogant as ever. Back at the Liu Corporation, Liu Ruyan's mind surged like a stormy sea. She realized that what she had was a psychological illness. Before even starting work, the first thing she did was instruct Assistant Du to arrange an appointment with a female psychologist in Haicheng. In addition, from now on, the core security team must consist only of women. The second and third tiers could include men. My car must absolutely be changed to a female driver. Men are forbidden from entering my office. Furthermore, if that person returns from overseas, he is not allowed to come within 100 meters of me. As Assistant Du took notes, he was stunned, his heart shaken. What was wrong with the president? It seemed like a psychological cleanliness disorder. But how had it become so severe that she couldn't even come into contact with men? As for who that person was, he had been Liu Ruyan's assistant for 5 years, so of course he knew. He never expected that the president would refuse to meet him and even forbid him from coming within 100 meters. What kind of tactic was this? After arranging all of this, Liu Ruyan opened the documents on her desk, but her mind kept returning to what Ye Fan had said. Qinglin Plot Number 2 had already been developed for 5 years. The secret beneath it had long been buried under towering buildings. Who could possibly use this to attack the Liu Corporation? She understood Ye Fan. She knew he wouldn't lie to her. A storm was coming. At Haicheng International Airport, Chibata had just gotten off the plane, yet he didn't see the person he longed for. Something felt wrong. Yesterday, he had already told Liu Ruyan that she would come pick him up today. Before boarding the plane, he had called her, but no one answered. He thought it would be a pleasant surprise. Who would have expected it to turn into a disappointment? Could it be that that contract husband refused to divorce? Chibata sneered coldly. Now that the real one has returned, how could a substitute dare to stay in Haicheng? He really doesn't know the meaning of fear. He took out his phone. Hello, it's me. Help me find out where Liu Ruyan is. Haicheng was big, yet also small. The wealthy only ate, played, and gathered in a few select places. Very quickly, his phone rang again. What did you say? Liu Ruyan is pregnant? Impossible. She clearly told me that husband of hers hasn't even touched her finger, and she's having severe morning sickness, already hospitalized. Chibata hung up, furious, smashing his phone as if he wanted to shatter Liu Ruyan and that so-called husband into pieces. At 8 p.m. at Yunting Tiangong, it was the 81st birthday of the Zhang family's patriarch in Haicheng. Chibata came, unable to find any trace of Liu Ruyan, but he knew that woman would definitely attend the longevity banquet. I came too, though I didn't really want to. Bai Ningbing forced me, throwing out 500,000. I admit, this time I was greedy again. Once here, in the eyes of outsiders, I had regained my status as the honored son-in-law of the Liu family. Liu Ruyan hooked her arm through mine and smiled. I was dressed in a high-end suit, handsome and refined. In the eyes of others, we looked like a perfect match, a couple made in heaven. But in reality, it was all just an act. I was dissatisfied inside but didn't dare show it. Liu Ruyan was probably no more comfortable than I was. Offering birthday wishes, presenting gifts, exchanging polite pleasantries, My job was basically done. There was still a banquet afterward, a gala, and return gifts. I planned to hide for a while, grab the gift, and leave. Damn it, Kibata has arrived. Ruyan, what should we do? Just as I was hiding in a corner eating matcha cake, Bai Ningbing came over, worried that Liu Ruyan might vomit the moment she saw Chibata. I spread my hands. Hiding forever isn't a solution. If she needs to vomit, then let her. After vomiting enough times, she'll get used to it. Bai Ningbing shot me a glare and dragged me toward Liu Ruyan. As expected of President Liu, she was chatting and laughing with a group of female entrepreneurs. In just a few sentences, she had already closed deals worth hundreds of millions, even billions. That was something I could only admire. I also wanted to negotiate billion-level contracts with President Liu, but she wouldn't agree. Liu Ruyan hated being disturbed while discussing business. I might be afraid of Bai Ningbing, but she wasn't afraid of anyone. She slipped into the circle and whispered into Liu Ruyan's ear. "That person has arrived. Should we leave early?" Liu Ruyan clearly wanted to escape immediately, but she couldn't bring herself to. She was the president of the Liu Corporation. Hundreds of thousands of people depended on her. Tonight, she still had to close several more deals. This was her responsibility and duty. "Tell Yifan not to go too far from me. If I feel like vomiting later, I'll vomit on him." "Ningbing, do you even sound like a human being?" Liu Ruyan smiled mysteriously. "He has unique tastes. Here's 100,000. He won't be angry." Bai Ningbing rolled her eyes. "You two really are a crazy pair." Chibata arrived at the venue. After offering his birthday wishes, he quickly spotted Liu Ruyan. She was always the brightest star in any crowd. At first, he intended to walk straight over, but seeing that she was in the middle of business talks, he stopped and waited off to the side. A faint smile curved his lips. His gaze held 3 parts affection, 5 parts admiration, and 2 parts mockery. It was as if Liu Ruyan was not only his lover, but also someone working for him. Then he turned his head and finally saw me. "Yifan." Chibata couldn't hold back any longer. Holding a glass of wine, he walked over to me. "Yifan, I am Chibata." I pretended not to recognize him, gave a polite nod, but completely ignored him. After all, he and I had indeed never met before. At that moment, a few of Chibata's friends gathered around. They were all from wealthy circles and clearly understood what he was trying to do. One of them smiled. "Brother-in-law Liu, your cuff is a bit wrinkled. Did the servants at home not pay attention?" I let out a faint smile. Damn it, daring to mock me for being poor, daring to make things difficult for me. "Young Master Fu, the road back to your hometown is quite bumpy. Walk it too often and you might fall." The moment those words were spoken, the atmosphere froze. Only the so-called young Master Fu tried to hold on, shouting loudly, "Nonsense! How dare you slander me?" I smiled lightly. Truth doesn't belong to the one who shouts the loudest. Raising your voice only proves you're feeling guilty. Young Master Fu was instantly defeated. If that piece of information were exposed, he wouldn't just lose face, he'd lose everything. The others saw this and hurriedly chased after him. They didn't even dare to say goodbye to Chibata as they left. Chibata's face turned pale with anger. He hadn't expected that a single sentence from me would scare his friends into fleeing. He stepped closer to me and, pretending it was accidental, knocked over a passerby's glass of wine. "So sorry. Mr. Ye, could you help me clean this up? I need to go talk to Ruyan. You wouldn't be so petty as to refuse, would you?" I smiled brightly, though inside I wanted nothing more than to punch him to death. He was going to look for my wife, yet he wanted me to clean up his mess. Who did he think he was? Truly vicious. The moment I bent down to clean, it would be the same as doing a servant's work in front of everyone, lowering my dignity. I was the son-in-law of the Liu family. Every word and action I took represented their status. I smiled and refused. "Sorry, my wife injured her back a few days ago during a depressive episode and she hasn't recovered yet." The guest whose wine had been spilled didn't leave. The middle-aged man knew we were clashing and deliberately stayed to watch the show. Hearing my words, he burst out laughing, gave me a thumbs up in approval, and only then walked away. Chibata still hadn't left. His face turned ashen, and 3 words echoed in his mind. Depression? What nonsense depression? He could no longer hold back and quickly strode toward Liu Ruyan. When he was 3 steps away, he spread his arms, ready to embrace her. "Ruyan, I'm back." But the moment Liu Ruyan saw him, her face went deathly pale. Seeing him reach out to hug her, she started vomiting. In a setting like this, vomiting something dirty would be a huge sign of disrespect to the host. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. I rushed forward and pulled out a small paper bag. Liu Ruyan had been the center of attention at the banquet, and her sudden vomiting immediately drew the gaze of almost everyone present. These were all adults. Who wouldn't understand what it meant when a woman vomited like this? Chibata understood as well. He stood there like a fool, staring wide-eyed as Liu Ruyan continued to vomit. In his mind flashed the phone call at the airport. Morning sickness. Pregnancy. Terror filled him as he stumbled back 2 steps. He had spent 3 years abroad, carefully playing the role of a devoted lover, returning now to execute his grand plan, to take over the Liu Corporation and claim Liu Ruyan for himself. But now, this woman was pregnant? Why? How? Rage surged through him. He wanted to slap Liu Ruyan, to kick away the so-called bastard child in her womb, to kill her contract husband. But he forced himself to hold back as he stepped forward toward her. "Ruyan, are you pregnant? I don't mind." After saying this, Chibata felt as if his heart were bleeding, resentment surging within him. Everyone present looked at him with mockery, contempt, sympathy, and curiosity. This kind of act, this was what true devotion looked like. Even I had to admit, I couldn't help but admire Chibata a little. As expected of the white moonlight Liu Ruyan had chosen, his skin was really thick. Bai Ningbing stepped forward, standing in front of Liu Ruyan. "What nonsense are you talking about? Your mother's the one who's pregnant. Open your damn eyes and look clearly. Ruyan is vomiting because she finds you disgusting. If you have any self-respect left, get out. The farther, the better." Under the crowd's disdainful, pitying, and curious gazes, Chibata could only force himself to maintain a shred of dignity. "Ruyan, take care of yourself. We'll meet another day." Unfortunately, Liu Ruyan was still vomiting uncontrollably. It seemed quite serious. She didn't even spare him a glance. After Chibata left, Liu Ruyan gradually calmed down. For a brief second, a trace of sorrow flashed across her face. Just 2 days ago, they had still been talking on the phone, yet now, merely hearing his name made her want to vomit. Let alone seeing him in person. That live stream scene had become a lifelong trauma. "Yifan, are you satisfied now? You've been cruel enough, haven't you?" I couldn't help but grin, then quickly suppressed my smile. It wasn't entirely my fault. At most, it could be said that the 2 of them had brought it upon themselves. Liu Ruyan looked somewhat weak. She took the water Bai Ningbing handed her, but just as she was about to drink, she suddenly remembered something. "You didn't drug this, did you?" Bai Ningbing rolled her eyes helplessly. Ever since that time she had thrown her best friend onto Yifan's bed, Liu Ruyan had become especially cautious about anything she handed her. "Look at the state you're in. Do I even need to drug you now? Have you seen yourself in the mirror? You're already a mess. Yifan could take you down in 3 minutes." I widened my eyes. Bai Ningbing truly lived up to being a heroic woman. When she got angry, she was even fiercer than a postpartum woman, saying whatever she wanted without leaving anyone any face. Liu Ruyan let out a faint smile, took the glass of water, drank it, and then left. After that longevity banquet, a week passed. I didn't contact Liu Ruyan or Bai Ningbing. With nothing to do all day, I thought about finding a job, but I was afraid I wouldn't be able to tolerate a boss's temper. More importantly, What boss could possibly pay as much as Liu Ruyan? Thinking it over, I might as well work for myself, make short videos. After all, I was someone who had transmigrated. The songs from my original world were all original works in this one. I just needed to repackage them, spend a bit of money hiring arrangers, record a few tracks, and upload them to platforms. In just a few days, I became a small internet celebrity. The profits from those songs on various platforms were surprisingly good. I hadn't expected making money to be this easy. I no longer needed to bow and scrape before Liu Ruyan, or Bai Ningbing either. One day I'd use money to crush her pride. I thought life would continue smoothly like this. But unexpectedly, one night while I was sleeping, when I woke up, I found myself back in Liu Ruyan's villa. Lying on her soft, fragrant bed, it would have been perfect if my limbs weren't chained. Fine, I admit it. I'm ashamed that I still miss her body. You're awake, you fan. Don't blame me. This is all karma you brought upon yourself. Liu Ruyan, dressed in a nightgown, sat on top of me. She wasn't wearing anything underneath, and neither was I. In the morning sunlight, as all things came back to life, my body instinctively responded to the call of spring. Why have you gotten so thin? What are you trying to do? Hearing my unconscious concern, Liu Ruyan felt a trace of warmth in her heart, but it didn't shake her resolve. Before I could even finish speaking, everything happened in an instant, leaving me completely speechless. What on earth was going on? Things could actually turn out like this? Looking at Liu Ruyan's reddened eyes and the tears at the corners, I could only stay silent, a strange thought forming in my mind. Less than 3 minutes later, Liu Ruyan collapsed weakly to the side, saying in dissatisfaction, "So you're done in 3 minutes. I'll have to tell Ningbing about this." "It's not like that." I blushed deeply and muttered, "Even men have a first time." Liu Ruyan's eyes lit up. She leaned over and kissed me lightly, smiling as if the dim room had suddenly brightened. "Then let's call it even." I wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. Can it really be calculated like that? Untie me. Next time, it'll be my turn to take the initiative. Liu Ruyan thought to herself that since it had already happened, if I dared to run, she would break my legs. Yet she still insisted on maintaining control. "I'm Liu Ruyan. I like to be in control." I nodded. "I know." She looked slightly displeased. Liu Ruyan would never take a passive position. I could only coax her gently. "All right, I get it. Next time I'll show you a few new approaches, much more comfortable." "Really?" she asked. "Of course. It might be my first time, but I've had teachers." She narrowed her eyes slightly. "Fine. But if it's not comfortable, I'm still in charge." This time, Liu Ruyan relented a little, taking a short rest. Only then did I ask her what this was all about. That was when I finally realized the pit had been dug by me from the very beginning. Liu Ruyan was sick, a psychological illness. And somehow I had become the center of it all. Because of that live stream, because of Chi Bada, Liu Ruyan had developed a strong aversion to contact with other men. Over the past week, she had seen several psychologists. The conclusion was that her condition required psychological treatment, and I had somehow become her medicine. She didn't reject my touch, nor did she feel disgust toward my body. As for why things had escalated so far, the root cause was still me. After all, the entire wealthy circle of Haicheng now believed that Liu Ruyan was pregnant. Even though it wasn't true, too many people wanted to turn that lie into reality. The chairman of the Liu Corporation, her father, her mother, the shareholders, the business partners, there were simply too many involved. This was the power of rumors. Once repeated enough times, fiction could become truth. Liu Ruyan was also helpless. Of course, she could clarify everything, but doing so would cause fluctuations in Liu Corporation's stock. At such a critical time, she didn't dare to take that risk. She understood one thing clearly. Without the Liu Corporation, her outcome would be miserable. She also admitted something directly. She did have feelings for me, though she didn't know how deep they were. People in wealthy circles were often like this. They didn't understand what love truly was, nor how to love. In any case, she said she only wanted to have children with me, 2 of them. One would take the Liu family name, the other the Ye family name. After hearing that, I didn't see any problem with it. This was something I could accept. What was love, anyway? Marriage was the longest confession of all. A thought suddenly surfaced in my mind. I might be able to help treat Liu Ruyan's condition, but I might never be able to fully cure it. She rejected other men, fine by me. But now, she seemed to have become possessive in a different way. Even if she wouldn't betray me, she definitely wouldn't allow me to betray her either. A marriage is a long road. Could I really endure it? The second time I came back here, Liu Ruyan removed the restraints and insisted on a long kiss first. Everything escalated quickly, and I could only sum up my actions with a single word. For 3 days straight, neither of us stepped out of the villa. Liu Ruyan visibly became more radiant, her body no longer as frail as before. On the 4th day, she returned to the company. The employees were all whispering. Everyone said the president had changed drastically, as if she had taken some kind of tonic. On that same 4th day, I finally left the villa too, my legs trembling as if even a breeze could knock me over. The dark circles under my eyes were so heavy that even pandas would feel inferior. I still had to go to the recording studio today. My career couldn't be neglected. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan was facing a major problem. She had received a letter sent by Chi Bada. Speaking of him, he hadn't been idle this week either. Liu Ruyan's phone had been blocked, all her social media accounts inaccessible. Emails were cut off, local deliveries rejected, and even direct meetings were impossible. He couldn't get within 100 meters of her. With no other options, he had to send documents to her under the guise of business matters. The letters were handwritten by him. He sent several in a row, yet received no reply. In the end, having no other way out, he dropped the act of being a devoted lover and revealed his true nature, threatening Liu Ruyan. There were 2 sets of documents. One detailed how a real estate company under the Liu Corporation, during the development of Qinglin Plot No. 2 5 years ago, Bai had deliberately destroyed and buried underground cultural relics. The other set detailed how the Liu Corporation's development project on Plot No. 3 in Bincheng had falsified toxicity and land safety inspection reports. Holding these 2 files, Liu Ruyan fell into deep thought, sitting there for half a day. Chi Bada's threat was both ridiculous and disgusting. He no longer demanded that Liu Ruyan divorce, but instead demanded that she bear him a child. Chi Bada already knew that the moment Liu Ruyan heard his name or saw him, she would vomit. He had guessed that she must have discovered his secrets. So now all he wanted was a child. With a child, he would have a legitimate reason to enter the Liu Corporation. Then he could ignite more landmines, drive down Liu's stock price, short sell, buy back, and restructure. In the end, the Liu Corporation would collapse. And after the Qi family devoured the Liu Corporation, they would become the #1 wealthy family in Haicheng. By that time, even if he publicly revealed his sexual orientation, who would dare mock him? Their plan was meticulous, but its progress was slow. Liu Ruyan had received Chi Bada's letter, yet 3 days had passed without a reply. Today was the final deadline. In the study of the Liu family's old residence, grandfather Liu, Liu Yanfeng, Liu Ruyan, her mother, and Bai Ningbing were all present. Of course, I was there too, playing a supporting role. In truth, family meetings like this were never something I had the right to attend before. But this time, Liu Ruyan insisted that I be present. She said I was a member of the family, that I was its pillar, that I was the future father of her child. By seeing how much respect she showed me, I naturally held my composure. Mr. and Mrs. Liu had likely learned about what I had done. Their attitude toward me had changed greatly. They treated me with a warmth almost like that of their own son. Since things had come to this, I decided not to hide anything anymore. I had to show my value. "Father, Mother, And Sister Ningbing as well. What I'm about to say next are all secrets. Information I paid for. I guarantee they're real. You can verify them yourselves. I fired a warning shot before officially speaking. Father, your special assistant has been involved with your 5th mistress for 5 years. That mistress previously served the Z family in Haicheng. Liu Yanfeng stood up in disbelief, about to argue, but I raised my hand to stop him. I continued calmly. My Uncle Liu-san in the company is preparing to sell 5% of the group's shares at the next board meeting. President Zhao, President Yan, and President Tian are wavering. Most likely they'll agree as well. In the stock market, someone is already short-selling Liu Corporation. I took a sip of tea, waiting for Liu Yanfeng to make a few calls to verify. After several calls, his face turned as dark as ink, his whole body trembling. I went on, the government will soon receive reports accusing Liu Corporation, father and mother as well. Mother Liu was shocked. I've been retired for 10 years. How could this involve me? I reassured her. It's nothing too serious. It's just that over the years you've been paying off gambling debts and acting as a guarantor for your brother. The amounts have been getting larger, but you should prepare yourself mentally. Mother Liu collapsed to the ground instantly. Liu Yanfeng truly lived up to being a veteran. He waved his hand. Continue. Next, relying on my memory, I laid out the entire process of how the Liu Corporation would fall, step by step. As Liu Yanfeng listened, he realized that many of the things I mentioned were matters within the company that even he himself had not known. Liu Ruyan was the same. Cold sweat covered her entire body. Husband, how much money did you spend? Once the company gets through this crisis, I'll pay you back double. I couldn't help but laugh when I heard that. Who says talking about money hurts relationships? Nonsense. Liu Yanfeng also regained his composure. Now that we know the opponent's methods, we can act first. At this point, the positions between us and the enemy have essentially reversed. We go from being in the open to operating in the shadows. Yi Fan, you have a mind for business. Come back to the company. I'll give you the position of vice president. I smiled and refused. I knew better than anyone what I was capable of. If it weren't for the fact that I had transmigrated and knew the plot, I'd just be an ordinary person. Father, I won't join the company. I don't need shares either. I have something I truly want to do. Liu Ruyan supported me. He's already the #1 favorite of my little obsession right now. She looked at her father. Dad, my husband knows how to compose and sing. He'll definitely become an international star in the future. Bringing him into the company would just waste his talent. Bai Ningbing immediately chimed in. That's right, Uncle. I was just planning to buy an entertainment company and sign him myself. Liu Ruyan's possessive streak flared up instantly. My husband, I'll personally buy an entertainment company for him. Bai Ningbing refused to back down. Do you even understand the entertainment industry? Do you have the time to stay by his side? I'm the one taking care of you, and you still don't appreciate it? Look at how weak you are. Can you even last 10 minutes? Ultimately, Liu Ruyan lost the argument. She simply didn't have the strength to compete with Bai Ningbing for me. Bai Ningbing looked at her with disdain, while I didn't dare say a word. Liu Yanfeng calmly sipped his tea, and Mother Liu even lit a cigarette for me. Half a month later, the battle between the Liu Corporation, the Ji family, and the Shu family came to an end. Liu Corporation achieved a costly victory, but its core strength remained intact, and it quickly began absorbing the spoils of war. Chibata, who had once acted arrogantly in front of me, was now detained. One day, when I had some free time, I went with Bai Ningbing to visit him. No one knew exactly what crimes he had committed, but it was very likely he would face life imprisonment. Did you two come here just to mock me? Is it fun? He asked coldly. Bai Ningbing glanced at him with contempt. Too bad there's glass between us. I'd love to watch the day you die, and let everyone in our circle see how pathetic you look as a lesson. I chuckled and took out my phone. Chibata, don't you want to know why Liu Ruyan vomits the moment she sees you? Take a look at your masterpiece." As the video played, the disgusting scene made Chibata look as if his soul had left his body. His expression froze for a moment. "You arranged for someone to secretly film this?" I smiled. I was the mastermind, and Liu Ruyan was the sponsor. Chibata's face turned even paler. "Then our plan—" I immediately cut him off with mock respect. "My father-in-law, Liu Yanfeng, already knows everything." At that point, Chibata completely lost the will to continue the conversation and directly requested to end the visit. Before leaving, the hatred in his eyes was like a blade. "Yifan, in the next life we'll settle this again." I was stunned. "Fine, we'll fight, but at least be clear about how." Half a month later, a cry of shock came from the bathroom. Thinking something had happened to Liu Ruyan, I rushed over, only to see her holding a pregnancy test stick, trembling with excitement. "Husband, look! 2 lines!" I knew exactly what 2 lines meant. I immediately picked her up. During this period, I had been taking care of her every day. She had become fuller than before, soft and fragrant. Liu Ruyan leaned into my arms. "Husband, for the next 3 months, I can't sleep in the same room with you anymore. I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself." She spoke in a coquettish tone. I comforted her gently. "Then I'll endure it with you." Her eyes reddened slightly. "Thank you, husband." The next morning, I woke up to a familiar scene. My limbs chained to the bed again. Liu Ruyan had just woken up as well, her expression innocent. "If I tie you up, I won't have to worry about you cheating." I felt helpless. Her condition had only one flaw. She was too clingy. I regretted buying that live stream, yet at the same time, I was glad I had. Life doesn't give you a chance to choose again. Cherishing the present is the greatest happiness of all.